This Tuesday tip is one that comes with a little bit of controversy because it's called Don't Be an Asshole. Pretty simple, right? Straightforward and somehow yet still rare. Over the course of a career in film and television, you meet a lot of people celebrities, artists, executives, up and comers trying to make a name for themselves. And here's the thing that's been a consistent across all of it there is absolutely no reason to be an asshole. And yet, a lot of people seem to think it's okay, and they are. People who lie, people who try to get things for cheap, or even worse, free, people who take advantage of others, people who talk down to others who think that they're below them. You see it at every level executives, producers, directors, and honestly, there are a number of genuinely decent, respectful people out there, but it just seems to be a much smaller pool than it should be. Now, owning a business here in New York City does change my perspective on this quite a bit. Because you know what? There is no HR department here. There's no buffer. There's just you. And by you, I mean me and how much I'm willing to tolerate. And this should apply to any working professional out there if you've got a spine. Because at a certain point, you need to stop tolerating it. For example, recently someone reached out here about renting one of our edit suites for a long-term deal. Before we even got on a call, I knew exactly who I was dealing with. An asshole. Because of the short emails, the curt tone, and the rudeness right from the start. They wanted everything, they wanted it immediately, and they basically wanted to pay next to nothing. What a fucking shock. And this is something that people just don't understand. You can want something fast, you can want something cheap, and you can want something good, but you don't get all three. And if you approach people like an asshole while you're asking for the impossible, you're not going to get it. Learn basic social skills because reputation travels fast, especially in this industry. Newsflash to the guy who wanted to rent an edit suite here. Upon searching your name and kind of seeing that we had a few connections in the industry, I had asked a few colleagues what they thought of you, and guess what came back? You're an asshole. And the thing to remember is it doesn't matter how talented you are, because if you're an asshole, nobody wants to work with you. Here's a story I'll never forget. We had a client years ago, a very important person, you might say, who was an executive at a major company and network. We're set to shoot a pretty big show for them, and then the day before, the talent had asked for more money. How do I know this? Because the talent told me on the side. Now, their deal, budgetarily, was separate from ours. We were handling production, talent was being handled directly by the network. So instead of handling that situation properly and accordingly, the executive tried to fix her problem by cutting my budget, the production budget, the day of, as we walked onto the set, last minute. And the way she did it, I could just tell this wasn't new to her. It was a tactic. It was to intimidate us, to pressure us, to assume that we would fold. But not on this day. So I told her very clearly that she could walk out of our studio right then and there, and she wouldn't be getting her TV show filmed at all. Because, you see, that's the line. And yeah, I wasn't exactly polite about it. If you really want to know, I called her a cunt right to her face. And you may think, well, gee, that's not very professional of you, Matt. Well, guess what? Neither is taking money out of my pocket and out of my crew's pocket on the day of a production. Here's the interesting part. That money showed up really fast when she saw that we were not going to budge and that nothing was going to happen. It was like a miracle. It fell out of the sky. So the shoot did happen. We executed it well. People got paid what they deserved. And not only did we get paid, the same client then kept hiring us again and again and again. Never a problem ever after that. Never anything sneaky, never anything deceitful. But why? Because sometimes people push as far as you let them. And when they realize you're not one of the softies, the behavior changes. It's sad, but it's true. There is a great line from Chaz Palminteri's A Bronx Tale, and that is, it's better to be feared than loved. Now, is that always true? No, but here's what is true. Respect matters, and sometimes respect comes from standing your ground. Not being difficult, not being aggressive for no reason, but not allowing yourself to be taken advantage of, because pride has a price. And if you don't stand up for yourself, someone else will take advantage of that. Funny enough, years later, I run into an old film school buddy on the streets of New York. We're catching up for a moment. How have you been? What are you working on? Both of us still working in the industry. And then out of nowhere, he goes, I have to ask you something, and I'm embarrassed to ask you. And I said, go ahead. What do I care? And he says, I heard a story about you that's almost become a myth. And I just laughed and said, okay, what is it? And he says, did you call a to her face? And I just laughed and said, you're goddamn right I did. And he just shook my hand and he said, thank you. Now, here's the takeaway. You don't need to be that extreme, but you do have to have a line. And so, you know what? Not all heroes wear capes. But my point proven is that this person had done this to many people before. And she might have done it to people after, but she wasn't going to do it to me. I intentionally called her a curse word to her face to be extreme, to try to match back the extremity at which she was disrespecting me and my crew. And I was hoping that maybe would be effective. Now, I can't say for sure if she never ripped off anybody in the future, but I will say this. You don't always have to go to that extreme, but you do have to have a line. Because being an asshole, that's a choice. And if you're watching this and that's how you operate, it's not too late to actually change it. Give it a shot. You'll get further. You'll build better relationships, and people actually want to work with you. And if you're on the other side of it, don't tolerate it, because the moment you stop accepting it, everything changes.